Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Thank you.
And Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the flame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
There we go. Nothing. Little bit like Ticketmaster, I think. There, queuing and waiting for us to arrive, and here we are, just in the nick of time. And que sera, whatever will be. Matt, get over your Peterborough PTSD because we are going to Wembley. Them Terriers continue to defy their pre-season predictions, and we have made it to the Championship playoff final. Carlos, the Exorcist Corberan, busts another ghost as Town win a home playoff game in normal time for the first time in 10 attempts. What a tumultuous night at the John Smith Stadium. To look back over it with me is match commentator Cosnath Wolstenholme, a.k.a. Richard Kosmala. The Gary Taphouse to my shithouse is Johnny Gillespie. And the Bob Wilson of the podcast, it's Philip Senior. Are we okay tonight, guys?
Good evening.
How are we doing? How are we doing? Very good, very good. Thank you to everybody who has joined us online. Let me just catch up with what's everyone doing. So good evening, everybody. And thank you to everybody who has joined us online. Cozzy, I'm sure, will tweet the link out if he's a good boy, just to get a couple more on board as well, which is fantastic. So we're going to Wembley, but before we go to Wembley, let's get drunk. Magic Rock Brewing sponsor this podcast, and you will get 10% off all of your online orders if you use our code AHTTC10. And also free delivery on all orders over £45. So thank you to Magic Rock for continuing to sponsor the podcast. Right then, Huddersfield Town 1, Luton 0. That's exactly how I predicted it, I think. No one ever mentioned Peterborough, I don't think. Right, guys, it was the start. Nervous. Town, nervous, weren't they, Phil? I thought maybe the favourites tag weighed a bit on them and we made a bit of a nervy, edgy start. It was never going to be a classic, was it? But were you a little bit worried when, sort of 15, 20 minutes in and things weren't quite going well? And we'll come on to Lee Nichols in a moment, but it was a little bit hairy for a little while there, wasn't it?
I don't know about worried. I think I kind of expected it. I thought they'd come out and give it. I don't feel like at any point in the game I was worried. Felt quite comfortable, to be honest. It was a bit weird. I was really worried before the game in terms of having that kind of nervous feeling and a little bit of stress during the game. The only stress I got was from the fella sat next to me, 2 minutes in, asking us to clear it down the channel. Get it down the channel! Get it down the channel! 2 minutes into the game. Some kids behind me, effing and jeffing, calling people all sorts of names. That's the only stress I got. The rest of the game was absolutely brilliant. I thought Carlos played it perfectly. First half, I think he just wanted to sit back and just take a little bit of pressure in, and then second half we just strolled to an easy 1-0 victory. I just thought it was something that we're not used to. I think normally we have that little bit of stress out where Sheff Wednesday away and we've had the Lincolns at home, all that kind of thing. And for me, I don't know how everyone else felt, but I just felt like it was just a kind of, an obvious kind of easy stroll to a 1-0 win. Once the goal went in, to be honest. And it wasn't a shot that, surely. Cosy, what do you think? Do you think he was squaring it, Jonny and Rhodes, or do you think he was sliding it into the far bottom bin?
I think he was sliding it in. Phil, you know what? I'm totally the opposite to you. My feelings, my sensations, as they say in Spain, were different. I arrived for a big party and after about 15 minutes that it would turn into a bit of a wake, to be honest with you. And even when we had that 5-10 minute spell second half where we kind of came out better, then they got back on top again, mate, and it needed Sorba to get us out of the SHIT. So I total opposite to you, mate. I would hugely concerned because they had all the momentum, the chances. They should be at Wembley, mate. We should be.
Yeah, I was the same as you. Second half, because we started so quickly, it nerves kind of went a little bit, and I felt second half was same as what we did in the first leg. I always thought we can actually do these, but first half, amount of time, obviously there's the obvious save from Nichols. Amount of times they got crosses in, balls in, constantly beating people, getting the balls into the box. And I thought he just felt like amount of time. I kind of just decided actually another chance with they've not caught something. It was almost like felt like it's more like a matter of time. But equally, we've done that a few times this season where, well, that's why I think a lot of teams, after we've got 3 points, kind of think, how are they where they are? Because we seem to have a knack, be it a knack, maybe it is, of not being obviously the better team, but not conceding goals and then taking our chances. So I don't know if it is a tactic, but maybe that's why I feel you felt a little bit more relaxed because you had faith and confidence that we don't always look obviously the better team, but we do stick it out, we do keep a clean sheet, and we do take that chance when it comes, which is exactly what we did.
Yeah, I think sometimes when teams get in behind you, I'm a little bit more nervous. If I know that teams are breaking the lines and getting in behind us, it does worry me a lot. But everything just seemed to be in front. And although they had a lot of possession and they did have a few, I mean, obviously the save that Nichols made, it was straight at him and they got in behind him. That was obviously clear and obvious. But I just feel like it was just all in front of us. It was quite a controlled performance. Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating at times. But I just think the second half we came into his own. And I think we always knew we were going to do the way that they tied in the first leg. And obviously it happened again kind of thing. So, but yeah, no, it's irrelevant really. We're up into the final. So bring it on.
Yeah, So I think Town are in a little bit of debt to Lee Nichols. The save from Harry Cornick. It's all about the positioning, isn't it? The early on field, how Lee Nichols gets himself in a great position and blocks it with his chest, doesn't really have to move.
Yeah.
And then there's other bits as well, isn't there? The save from James Bree was the Bree save was really good as well, and he's commanded his box and dug us out. But that's what he's there for. That's what a good goalkeeper's there for, and that's why he's championship keeper of the season. I really thought Town struggled first half. They struggled to get to grips with Luton's intensity. I think that they looked a little bit worried, but I never really felt like Luton were creating clear-cut chances at the same. I know the Cornick one was, but other than that, I don't think anything was really clear-cut. But Luton to their credit, were excellent in that first half. But the second half, kicks off, and I think Town made a number of improvements in there. And Danny Ward's had to go off injured. It looks like a potential, from watching the video, it looks like maybe his groin or his hamstring again. The way he's gone. And so it looks potential like, hamstring, groin maybe. So hopefully he's fit. But Jordan Rhodes came on, and Jordan Rhodes was excellent. He used all his experience, and it's 10 years since he scored those 2 goals against MK Dons, isn't it? In the home and away leg, and Jordan's there, the hero again. A decade on, he was excellent, and Sorba Thomas as well really helped change the game around. I thought his energy and impetus really helped lift us, and and it's obviously his ball into the box. He's made 3 key passes. He's been on for like a third of the game. He's made 3 key passes in that time on the pitch, which the rest of the team have made 6 in 90 minutes. And he's made a third of Town's key moments. In a third of the time. I thought he was excellent when he came on, and the set piece, Phil, we were right behind it, and as soon as that was floated in, you could just tell it just needed someone on it, and luckily we can just there's a brilliant video, and I'll play it in now, but it's just the noise levels are incredible. Let me play this in, and we'll come back to it in a second. It's only 25 seconds. Cosy, what a noise it was when that ball hit the net. I know Town have come under fire a little bit for not exactly singing during the 90 minutes of the game, but that noise, it reminded me very much of Lincoln City, when Phil, you were there, weren't you? I think we were on the bench against Lincoln City in the playoffs, and you know the when Rob Edwards' thunderbolt hits the back of the net, the roar from the crowd is it's unbelievably intense, and that was probably a couple of decibels above that. It was just an unbelievable moment where the whole stadium erupted, and from then on it was magic in there, wasn't it? And Town really saw the game out brilliantly from that point.
I think they were kind of. I think you could feel it coming, couldn't you? And what a great ball that was, and to tuck it in and the way it just trickled into that bottom corner and just rolled in, keeper stranded. Not much keeper can do in that position, and yeah, it kicked off, didn't it, big time, and you could see that coming. And I thought the fans were great on the night. It wasn't a great evening, and to kind of get behind your team and to find the impetus. But once it went in, it was brilliant. It were absolutely fantastic, and and especially the scenes after the game as well were just as good.
Yeah, but just draw it back a second. That Johnny, tell us, Peter Banks, the referee. Forest and Sheffield United managed to get Michael Oliver. The referee, I thought, was a complete disgrace for the 90 minutes. I thought he was horrendous. The decision, the penalty decision on Toffolo as well was stonewall. I thought Campbell should have walked. There were a number of challenges that went sort of unpunished, but all's well that ends well. So we don't really need to delay on him too much. But just a word for that, and hopefully he's nowhere near the final.
Yeah, well, I think the quality referees. I mean, it's one of them. Don't want to complain about it all the time. The quality referees that the Sheffield United Forest ties had in comparison to the Town Luton ties, it's polar opposite in it. But yeah, performance wasn't great. You let a lot go, but I think you let far too much go for me. I even think the interesting what people's opinions are, but even the Lee's goal, the Colwell foul. I don't know what people think about that one, because I watched it. I watched that a few times. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
There's nothing. Absolutely nothing.
He's wrong-sided. It's not really pushing that. I know he's blowing early, and he said, well, he blew before he went in the back of net. But for me, that's not a foul. Penalty is stonewall. I know we touched it previous pod. I just want to know why. We'd be interested to know what his opinions were, why he's not give it. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, does it? I mean, you could argue. Had the Lee's goal stood, might be a slight different approach. And with the time we scored, the time this Rose goal goes in, I think is a great time to score. At that point, not long left. Luton players were gone. Absolutely, that ball goes in, they are gone. They've got nothing left. The Lee's goal, it might have been a bit early to try and hold the lead. I don't know. I'd probably rather score in the 80th, 81st, and when Leeds, maybe you could argue maybe done us a bit of a favour there. But yeah, I think the decisions we've had over the two legs just makes me very happy that we do have VAR in the final. I'm not, again, whether you want VAR in the Championship next year, jury's out, but I think at least we'll know whatever happens, those decisions won't be happening in the final, because it's been awful, absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous over two legs to get two decisions like that. Stonewall penalty is not given. It's just can't be happening. He's a Premier League referees. I mean, he's maybe the best. And I know better than what we get, and what we get is shocking.
Cosy, tell us what it's like, what it was like in the gantry, rubbing shoulders with Andy Hinchcliffe, big illuminators, Daniel Mann, etc. Tell us your view from up there, because you obviously was on a very special commendation, weren't you? Living the high life up there. Just tell us what you saw from up there, because we've not really heard much from you yet. So, tell us your thoughts on the game, how you felt it went. I know you've mentioned Luton were unlucky a little bit earlier, but just let us know, and, that second half in particular, and the noise of the crowd towards the end.
Wow, I was so nervous. So I got asked to do this, and part of me was thinking, is it a good idea? Because obviously I like to be in the mix and the emotion, a bit like Luton and that as well. But I thought this was once in a kind of lifetime opportunity, really, to get on here and that as well. And we had some fun, really, because they're meant to be a Luton fan do it with me. But Sky looked through his Twitter feed and pulled out of getting this guy. So I don't know what he was tweeting and stuff like that as well. So I was on my own, which I thought, oh my God. So I thought the best thing to do was all good commentators do prepare for the game. I went into Huddersfield and had a Sambuca and about 3 Madrids. So, but I took my notepad and had everyone written down. So I looked a proper professional. So honestly, so I came in through the players' entrance, and like people, I had my town shirt because they told me to come in it, and everyone's like, I just look like a blanket. It's the first person I bumped into, Richard Sutcliffe from the Athletic, I know really well. So what the hell are you doing in here? I says, mate, and I showed him this pass, it said TV commentator. So, and then there were like all other press and that as well. It were proper tension there. They were all got their laptops out and everything. And there's me like coming in half swilled up with Madrids and what have you. And so strolls down the pitch. David Prutton's doing his thing. And there's, who else were there on Monday night? I can't remember who else. But yeah, so I knew I walking around like side of the pitch and people shouting, goes here. Or like I was trying to look professional like this and stuff. And then the Gantry, which for some reason I lost the plot here. So I know before the Premier League we had a different Gantry, didn't we? That were kind of
you had to climb up it. Yeah.
So I
fancy it there for 90 minutes.
Yes, so for some reason I thought that was still there. So I'm scared of heights. So I was so pleased when we went to the back of this other one. But yeah, fast forward it on. So got my notes out and everything. And I think obviously with just doing it for like Huddersfield, it would have been a disaster for Sky to have like Luton winning it. And I was really confident going into the game, not overconfident, but I just thought we can play better than them. I said it, didn't it, on the air on Sunday night. And honestly, about 15 minutes in, I was kind of like, we're in trouble here. We're worried. It felt tense. A few things that I got to realise quickly that you don't get to go behind the South Stand and that as well. Especially the Kilner Bank, our fans don't seem to like this slow build-up. And I don't know whether it was because we had new fans in there or what, but they were, come on. And every time Levi Colwell got it, there were people like trying to, and I kept saying on commentary that the fans need to stick with it because this is how we play. We build up slow and then we find some passes and we're in. But they were really getting there because it was a nervous start. They were really getting on people's backs. But the good thing is the players were bright enough to keep doing what they were doing. Obviously, Carlos had drilled that into it. So I'm pleased with that. But there were a really naughty kind of tension there. And the way they started, the stuff that kind of shining out to me, James Bree were running riot down the right. We had Harry Cornick had a massive game. Should have scored. And Mary Bell should have scored like the tapping and that as well. Another things that I noticed today, kind of watching the replay back, I know Nichols were brilliant and saved, but I just don't know whether this is just because like the season is having, everything's getting away with, but he was punching stuff out into dangerous areas and Luton were missing. His saves were obviously good, but they on another day, they come back and they tapped in. So we got away with quite a bit there and that as well, I thought. And at half time, I was really worried because I thought, wow, I'm sat here like commentating and it's meant to look brilliant when we go mental and to Wembley and I'm going to be stood here like for a funeral. And so the second half kind of started and I were like, we started off kind of well, didn't we? Pippa kind of got racing down the right and we had 1 or 2 moments, but quickly Luton got back on top and Cameron Jerome all of a sudden got 10 years younger when he came on. He were like beating men for fun and I could see it now. I were really annoyed how much space Robert Snodgrass had. We seem to let him do what he wants. He obviously had that curled shot that was saved, and they were just letting him do what he wants. When I watched it back today, because to confirm it, he did the space we gave them. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's stage fright or whatever, but obviously all's well that ends well in the end and that as well. But it was really interesting to see Tom Lees were another guy who just stood out. Every time an aerial ball came in or he cut something out, he was just so dependable. You don't notice that kind of behind the goal a lot, but the view on the side, the guy he's this year's, it's 2017 Schindler is Tom Lees to me. Cool as you like, assured, hardly any mistakes. If he's going to get beaten for pace, you think he always kind of gets there, and that's well apart from that Bournemouth at home game where they were kind of exposed a little bit. But yeah, and other things kind of stood out, but obviously the goal. I mean, you'll see the video, it's going to be published tomorrow. God, it's so funny. I've lost it, man. Lost the plot, the voices. It's the absolute crazy and that's well. Wait till you see it, just mad. But it would a weird experience because like I would just obviously got to know their players a lot. A lot of them I kind of knew Daniel and face to face, but you're writing stuff down, you're looking at players and that as well. But I just had this horrible feeling that it were like, and I still thought after an hour until Sorba came on, all I was saying one bit of quality is going to change it, and that's when luckily it came in. I know Phil, you said did Rhodes mean it, but the best thing about the goal was that as soon as, obviously you were at the other side of it, Matt, and you're standing up. Where do you sit, Phil?
In the car, just in the bottom corner next to Fantastic Media.
Yeah, so as soon as you got that touch, I knew it were in. It was the best moment ever. It's like if you could bottle that and saved it, it was just that brilliant moment. I just kind of looked at that flag, thought, is he off? He in. And the place went absolute bedlam. Honestly, it was so emotional and God, it was brilliant. Absolutely sensational. The scenes at the end, but Yeah, watch this space for the final. That's all I'll say. Martin Tyler, move over.
I can't wait. Honestly, I can't. I genuinely
Matt, wait
can't
till you
wait to
see
see
it,
that.
mate. It just makes no sense, but I don't anyway on a normal day. So what's a bit of commentary?
Yeah. So, like I say, Town saw that out pretty easily, didn't they? Really. Adebayo came on, didn't he? Elijah Adebayo. They threw him on with 5 minutes. I felt so sorry for him because you could tell his hamstrings were absolutely twanged, and Town were knocking the ball back to Nichols, and he was shuffling towards him, wasn't it? And Nichols was literally dribbling away at walking pace, and the distance was being maintained. The poor guy, and they were really desperate, weren't they? They've had bad luck with injuries. I thought the Luton fans were decent, were very good. Good voice all night. They were good, and Luton could count themselves unlucky. I think, like Cosy says, I thought they gave it everything, but Huddersfield we just had that extra quality, didn't we? At the end of the day. Which is great. The pitch invasion at the end as well. There's a lot of things being said about that. I'm not really fussed for going too deep into it. But for me, it just shows the complete relief. That we've had 3 pretty crap years, haven't we, since David Wagner's team defied all expectation and logic by staying up in the Premier League. We had that stinking season in the Premier League, then the one when we came down and financially difficult, and then behind closed doors with COVID. It just felt like a bit of a release, for everybody to get back in the stadium and just celebrate together. And, running on the pitch for me, I'm neither for or against. I didn't go on the pitch because I'd have to abseil down from the upper tier, so there's no choice for me but to stay in my seat. And because he's obviously in the gantry, so, looking on, he can't just, throw down the microphone, can you, and just run on the pitch. Although that'd be brilliant if you had like a little Bluetooth microphone and you were just running around the pitch. That would be amazing.
Sorry, Matt. They said if you were wanted to run around and celebrate, just make sure you drop the microphone.
You should. That'd have been amazing. Just you running around, just talking to people. It'd have been fantastic. But
see, I'm a very professional.
But yeah, you guys, I don't know how you felt, Johnny, Phil, about for me it was fine. To be honest, there's a lot of complaints about trouble. Nathan Jones has had his say. Don't really want to give him too much airtime, but I didn't really see anything massively untoward. I know a lot of Huddersfield fans went over to the Luton fans. A lot of them clapped because I had a really good view. A lot of them were clapping the Luton fans, which was decent. Some went over to be dickheads, and they succeeded. Some poor old chap from Luton's ended up with a coin in his head, which is really, really not what I want my football club to be about. I think that's ridiculous, and hopefully whoever did that gets dealt with. But, for me, the scenes were pretty, the pictures were pretty good. Players on fans' shoulders, celebrating. Okay, it's not the final and there's another step to go, but, the release and the togetherness, that the football club has was encapsulated really in that moment. And I quite enjoyed it, Johnny. You're nodding, so I'll go to you.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, and I think when another football club does it, you see other fans kind of like jump on a bandwagon and give fans a bit of stick for it. But then when it's
celebration police come out in force, don't they?
It's what you do, innit? It's what you do. Couple of things. So first off, you've not won anything yet, okay, but the first stage is it's a 2-leg tie, and you've won the tie. So I think celebrating that, nothing wrong with it. I can see why Carlos and the players might have a short celebration, the fans, but I think it's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. And celebrating getting to Wembley, it's something to celebrate. So I've no issue with people doing that. Going on the pitch and like the pitch invasion. From what I saw, quite a few fans, like I say, went and clapped Luton fans because they were good. They've just lost and they're all stood up singing, clapping. None of them like dart for the exit straight away, and so fair play to them. And from what I saw, most of it was kind of just like I say, a clap and a bit of respect to Luton fans. Every club has got whoppers who, don't represent the club. Every club's got them. Obviously, like when you see the stuff that was put on afterwards, and the chap who's joining Amy with a sort of coin thrown at him, absolutely don't condone that. And I think if any majority of Town fans saw someone doing that, they'd tell him what they thought of it. But unfortunately, some football does attract some idiots, and when you've got 24,000 people, there's always going to be some people who are. But end of the day, I think if you ask the players, do they want that? Do they enjoy that? Is that part of the atmosphere? I don't know, Phil, you might have an opinion on this, but I think if you ask like Toffs, O'Brien, players like that, Colwell, you've got what, 10,000 people, you're on people's shoulders. That's something that when you're 85, you remember. So I think from a player's perspective, they must love it. A bit of atmosphere like that. I think everyone just sat and clapped in the seats. it's not what it's about, is it? It's how often do you win a playoff semi final and get through? Do you know what I mean? You might do 10 in a lifetime. So yeah, all for celebrating it in the way people want to celebrate it. So no problems for me at all.
I think it's brilliant. I think that Jonny, you're 100% right. Like the players, that connects between the fans is fantastic. And when you win something like that, it's just more relief, isn't it? Everybody was just relieved that we got through 2-leg semis there, where you've got this wonderful thing of going to Wembley after it, and like I say, we've had a couple of years now where it's just been dreadful. Everything's been negative about the club to this wonderful season, and I think the celebration was great. I had to go on. I had to go on the pitch. My little lad wanted to go on. I wasn't going to argue because it was nice to go back on the pitch, and it were doing knee slides all over the place. There were plenty of people having fun. Whatever beast lifted Naby Sarr up onto the shoulders, I need to shake their hands because he's an absolute monster. So he must have been huge, whoever had him on shoulders. Obviously, it was, you get those things where there's going to be a few issues towards away fans. I'll hold my hands up, Johnny. I thought we were. I thought most of our fans were going over to applaud him. That's the way I saw it. But then when you see a couple of the bits of footage on Twitter and stuff of young kids giving it Billy Biggin and getting in opposition players' faces, because you've got to remember, those opposition players have toiled for a full season and grafted the hardest, and all they want to do is walk over to their fans and applaud them for staying behind and giving them that support. And some of our fans, it was just a little bit embarrassing, really, getting in their faces. They're just a normal human being. Why would someone ran up behind someone and slapped him out back head? Don't do it. You know what I mean? Just go and find your own players and leave them to it and let them go and give their fans a little bit of an accolade and thank them for a good season. So you're going to get it whatever club you're at. So whether it's ours or that shambles from last night where that idiot went and headbutted Billy Sharp for zero reason, you're going to get it at whatever club you're at. But the majority of our fans are fantastic, and I just think it were great to watch. Just standing back and watching all the fans on the pitch and everybody being so happy. And like I say, yeah, it's a semi-final. Yeah, it's not a final. No, we haven't been promoted yet. But why not go on a field and celebrate with your fans? Because it's not every season you get to. What we've been doing the last couple of seasons, we've been turning around, walking home, and whinging about how we've played. Do you know what I mean? So
just one quick thing before we move on about that pitch. We touched on it before. No one can ever have a pop at rugby ruining that football pitch because, my God, there's high definition and there's Town's pitch. It was unbelievable. I was looking at it thinking, this can't be real grass. Madness. So yeah,
crazy,
just for that. For that, it was incredible to have a look.
You can understand why they water it so much because it's so thick. And I spoke to groundsman. I was at a cricket match on Tuesday with the school, and I spoke to Reggie, and he said like our technology's changed. Said it's amazing. They have the lights on it, £1 million they spent on lights or whatever. And he says like for that grass to leave the surface, it ain't going anywhere. It's not budging. It's it's really thick. So yeah, it's a credit in it. Like a couple of years when I was playing, there were some bald patches causing on that grass when I was playing. Now it's just lush.
Yeah. Best team lost though, guys. There's 100%. I watched it back today. They should be at Wembley and we shouldn't be. We got so lucky on Monday night. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. I was waiting for like the period of Town dominance like coming on replay because you see it differently, don't you, after the emotion. But honestly, they should have won, man. They missed so many chances. So we've got to be really grateful that we got there. It's really weird how it does it because the Forest game was the same where for three periods of the game, 3 halves, they were so much better than Sheffield United. But that last second half, there was what had gone on. They were like a totally different team. They looked like they were like a relegation team. Sheffield United were running riot, and I think if they'd gone on a bit longer, they might have won it. But
pressure.
Is it just pressure? That's all I can put it down to, really. What pressure? I sometimes think the second leg at home is not the best way. It's not the best kind of outcome. Obviously it ended well in the end, but when people say the second leg's at home, the home fans and stuff out. I'm not so sure. I know Matt will probably read out some stats here. 80% of teams played the second leg at home wins, but it was a strange old night, and players were doing different things. Johnny Russell that first half were absolutely awful, man. It's like he had an orange shirt on. It's the worst I've ever seen him play. Johnny Ogg, poor. Lewis O'Brien, they did a job on him. He couldn't really get anything going. it was really bad. And only until Toffs had that little chance where kind of a bit of a weak finish, but there were nothing doing, and they just grew in stature. They played some really good football and all. I don't know about, we mentioned on Sunday long, but they were playing some really good football on Monday. I can't feel we've got away with one there on Monday night, and I'm so glad that we have. But yeah, it's we're going to have to play so much better on the week on Sunday, but we will.
I don't know if it'll help us really, because like I say, we've not really performed in 2 games there, and I think if you're going to almost get out of your system, we've managed to not play well and get through, so hopefully it's a bit like, do you know what I mean, lesson learned, deal with the pressure, get a bit familiar with it, rather than, do you know what I mean, have 2 good performances and then bottle it in the final. So maybe it'll help a little bit.
I think Carlos played a masterstroke though with a sub. I mean, it would have been so tempting to bring Thomas on at half time, but it felt like that was just kind of something that had been pre-arranged, didn't it? Because as soon as 60 comes, he was on, but the guy turned the game on, not obviously for the assist, but the fear factor he put into Luton that we didn't have before, a bit of pace. Someone's even with some questions today actually, like, God, I was jumping in, but said, if Town get promoted, what do we need next season? And I just said, pace. We're lacking pace by so much. But Thomas is the one guy that's got it, and wow, what a difference he makes.
Yeah, definitely. Sorba was phenomenal when he came on, and good to see him back in the groove. He's been out for a few weeks, and he carried on like he'd never left away, had he? So the Forest Sheffield United game obviously came to a conclusion last night, and Sheffield United were very unfortunate. Brice Samba really sort of saved Nottingham Forest. That save from Morgan Gibbs-White. Morgan Gibbs-White was phenomenal last night, wasn't he? And the save at the end by Samba, which just with his foot, you feel that was just complete look/reaction, wasn't it? How he lifted his foot. Usually the goalkeeper doesn't lift the foot like that, as a one-on-one. When they stood in that sort of position, and he just lifted it and made I don't know if it's look, reactions, reading it. I couldn't tell really. It seemed a little bit of a mix of all. But we're going to play Nottingham Forest at Wembley. Excited, Phil?
Yeah, I think it's when it's me, I think I would have preferred Sheffield United for their style, but it's like I say, it's a one-off game. But yeah, they've got lots of quality, haven't they? That's Forest all over the park. The keeper had an absolute blinder. Such a big, strong fellow, and he's great with his feet as well. His distribution is fantastic, really composed. Yeah, and they've just got a threat all over the field. But again, for me, it doesn't really matter who you've got. You've still got to, stand up to a man and be countered, and anything can happen within. It just showed, like Cosy mentioned there, Luton we're probably a little bit on top of us, and we've won the game last 8 minutes, of the game kind of thing. So I don't think you can look too much into it. I think it's more about us having our plan and knowing how to kind of to outwit our opponents, which obviously it's going to have to take a big thing to do, because I think Forest will bring loads of energy. The fans will be great, I'm sure, and it'll be a tough game.
Jordan Rhodes was brilliant, wasn't he, when he came on? Obviously, Danny Ward. I watched it again today because I was unclear how the kind of injury happened. I think it's to do with that slip, innit? It was really weird, where he kind of went down, and I think it was Bradley that went over.
Pushed in the afterwards as well.
Yeah, I think that did him, and you do wonder, don't you? Especially with Wembley, it's kind of it's not a pitch where you take chances, is it? So part of you wonders how fit he will be and whether he can take his place, even if a week on Sunday. But I thought Rhodes were brilliant. I thought his experience was great, not just because he scored, but hold up play. Seems to have got a little bit of pace. I don't know where this has kind of come from, but honestly, we've said on here, I remember, God, I feel so bad. I remember why we re-signed this guy. I'm not one about coming back and all this lot. Kind of leave the memories behind and stuff like that as well. But immense, mate, and what he did at Middlesbrough to get us, that on that Easter Monday, wasn't it? With that brilliant finish and stuff. The guy has got us to Wembley, and the video when he's coming back in to the changing rooms, he's just unbelievable, isn't it? The guys love him there, don't they? And we all love him.
100%, mate, 100%. 100%. Who would you pick man of the match then? Because Lee Nichols was great. Just going back to Luton thing, and Town struggled. I thought Lewis O'Brien was excellent second half. He, like Cos said, first half he they all struggled, didn't they? But second half, I thought Lewis was excellent. He was really good at nipping in, and those bursts forward, take you so far up the pitch, don't they? And transition you from defence to attack quite quickly. I thought Lewis had a really good second half, which I think maybe dipped under the radar a little bit. But for me, Rhodes got man of the match, but again, Sorba was phenomenal as well. It's I think you would probably pick your man from those, wouldn't you? Really? Go on, guys. Who would you go for in this occasion?
I have no idea, to be honest.
It's all a blur.
I think Tom Lees was my man at match, Matt. He was brilliant.
Tom Lees.
He's just, honestly, the guy is I mean, we give him the credit on here, but to me, one of the best free transfer signings we've ever done at Huddersfield Town, mate. 100%.
He is great, isn't he?
Yeah, it was solid. I think Nichols had a good game as well. I don't think anyone really massively stood out. I just think it was just one of those jobs that you had to do and get on with. And I think, probably Lee's.
Levi Colwell did wrong, mate. It was really good. Bringing the ball away.
I thought first half he really struggled. I thought Levi. He really struggled. Yeah,
I think you were probably trying. I think you were probably trying too hard to thread some of those balls through the middle of the pitch. It was quite difficult for him, really. I don't think he had many options. I think there were a lot of people running away from him instead of running towards him. And I think he found that quite hard. I don't know if that was a tactic that Carlos were trying to make or what, but I think he found. But I think he was solid defensive. I think those.
Yeah, second half good. Yeah, decent second half as well. Yeah. Go on, Johnny. Who are you going for?
Yeah, I think other than Rhodes, obviously for scoring the goal, probably can't really look past him. But I think the only player probably stands out is probably Sorba, purely because obviously assist for the goal, but also assist for the other goal that we scored, which was nothing wrong with it. So he's come on. We've not really created much. Toffolo's kind of done his own thing and created probably one of the best chances in the game off his own back. Other than that, nothing really doing. Lad comes on, two balls in. I mean, both fantastic quality, both great goals. So I'll probably say Sorba. Even though he's a second half sub, it's always hard. But I think he's probably made most impact out of everyone. But yeah, I guess goal scorer, you've got to probably give it him, haven't you? It's Sky Sports. They like Hollywood storyline.
What did it look like from up there in terms of like the shape in the first half? Because obviously, like you mentioned there, Matt, a lot of the fans were I think you did. A lot of the fans complaining, saying get it forward. A lot of people around me were shouting stop passing it backwards, even though we've done it every single game of the season and that's how we play. But it looked really. I mean, I know they work on it. They obviously work on it. They know where they need to be. Every single player on that pitch, you mentioned before, but we looked really narrow. Like Dwayne Holmes was tucked inside, and every time fullback got it, we looked so narrow.
There were nothing
in midfield.
There were no options, Phil, and Sinani, they moved him across. It's almost like he had a free roll up front. He were moving all over the place without really being effective. Where I think we got the ball to him a lot earlier on Friday night. Obviously, benefited with the goal and that as well. And Colwell kind of bring it forward a lot, and Hogg kind of stayed back. But the problem with Johnny Russell's first, I think this is how he plays. His first kind of intention is to pass it back. He kind of gets it, shields it, turns. And then there was no one really kind of insensed it. O'Brien, they'd done a good job on him, and all it meant, it kept coming back. And that's what I mentioned earlier. The fans, I think they kind of accepted that for the first 15 minutes, but they started to think, bloody hell, like we've got to do something more. But I think there's a lot of credit, Phil's got to go to Luton Town. I thought their game was fantastic, and it was only their finishing that stops them being at Wembley instead of us. So we're praying that there's quality from the bench will make a difference. I thought it might be Tino, and ironically, we just about come on money when the goal came on. Yeah. But to me, it was that bench. I've been saying it for the pit now. It's thank God we've got some like game changers stuff, because last year it was embarrassing, wasn't it? There were youngsters that we were bringing on and what have you. But Thomas, did you hear the interview after? It was so funny. I think we were on TalkSport. He said, "Oh, you're not happy with starting the game." It says, "Yeah, I've got to be honest. I wasn't happy to start the game, but." You've got to hand it to the professor. They got it right again, didn't they? All words to that effect and that as well. And it just shows the love for Carlos. And it was nice. It was a nice celebration, wasn't it, when it showed him something? Because he's not one for going nuts, is he really? And honestly, the scenes like when we scored, the noise. I mean, obviously you played that video, Matt, but it was just incredible. And I'm too nice, me though. I'm too nice. I just felt for them. I wish I don't have an heart. I wish they didn't give a shit, but. A part of me just thought we didn't really deserve it, but I should forget about that and think we were third, they were sixth, and we're going to Wembley and they're not.
Tell us about Wembley.
I never once thought about how they were feeling. Sorry, I'll
tell you what, guys, the scenes after in the pubs in Huddersfield were unbelievable. I got a taxi home absolutely steaming about, this was on Tuesday morning about, I can't remember, it cost me 17 quid to rob him from Huddersfield.
11:30.
Like normally because of about S6, but it were unbelievable. The Vulcan, it were like being Magaluf Strip, mate. There were people going mental. The songs were coming on. Damo Wales was a bit of a fan of the pod. He kind of took over the decks in the Swan, and every other song were like coming on. And Jordan Rhodes, the song came on. It were like Holy Holiday, and I thought, why are you playing that? And then
Gets
I remember
the ball,
they like,
scores a goal.
Yeah, exactly. And then within about a second, it were on. And then best thing is, it showed a replay game. I think about 1 a.m, and all of a sudden they were like, music stopped, and woo, Sorba were just over at free kick, woo. Honestly, famous scenes. There were people dancing up the street, boy and barrel were echoing. It was famous. I just think you've got to enjoy your good days in life because you just do not know what's around the corner. And I know I got a bit of sticker working Leeds next day. Oh, congratulations on your promotion. Yeah, everyone on pitch and blah, blah, blah. But, mate, if you can't enjoy your good days in life, then when can you not? But it was just one big party, and he still had to believe in it a few days on what's happened, really. But Christ, when it came on Sky Sports News, I got home at like 2 o'clock. Sky Sports News, I couldn't even hardly see at that point. And they were like, Huddersfield Town, 90 minutes away from return to the Premier League. And you're just like, bloody hell. And then, next day when you get up after you've had a good drink, thinking, you're just trying to recollect what's happened. Hopefully you haven't text someone badly or punched someone and what have you. Like, wow, it did actually happen. So, yeah, really disappointed with examiners, to be honest. We're not putting it as front page news. I thought that were poor, that. If I'm paying £1.10 for a paper based in Huddersfield, I want to see Huddersfield Town on the front. I thought that were garbage, that.
Cozzy, Wembley, what do you reckon?
Bloody hell. I'm just glad it's not this week. What do I reckon about Wembley? Well, the first thing is, I've got to ask you, because I'm crap with ends and stuff like that. Have we got the same end as last time?
Nope.
No.
Different.
I'm not superstitious anyway. Apparently, someone's texted me sold.
I am.
13,500 tickets by 2 o'clock today, which is pretty good, isn't it?
Wow, yeah. I couldn't get 3 together. I had to wait for my brother-in-law to decide if he was coming, and he decided at about 2 o'clock. So we just can't get tickets together in the areas that we want. So I don't think they've all been released yet. So I'm just hanging fire. Hopefully, some will get released. But
I didn't want to come.
What end did we have in 2012? Do we have the same end in 2012 and 2017?
2017, yeah, we did.
So
I don't want to come in and really kind of bring it down and boom, but I'm quite shocked it were £49 for the coach. I know
I don't know, I've not looked.
But yeah, travel club's 49 quid. That's just too much for me. And I do worry a little bit that obviously there's the Far Town final on the Saturday. So I just hope that people can kind of dig deep, because there's obviously a struggle with money at the moment and that as well, because I just think these lads deserve all our support. If anyone's tempted to sack it off or watch it in a bar, they've just got to get there. We're going to be outnumbered with Forest. I think with the things with the final, Matt, as well, I think with Jody Calvert said it perfectly today on Twitter, but it's so true. Expect 11 days of Forest loving, Brian Clough, Archie Gemmell, the Collymore, the good old days, the Wheeler, all the legends. It'll be almost like they're going up. Forest are back. Forest have sold 800,000 tickets. There's 6 million in the fan zones. I've sold 50 fans and what have you. Expect all that. I just feel the pressure on Forest to get up is huge, man. And I hope that weighs them down. They want to go up, and don't get me wrong, it could be a once in a lifetime chance for us. But I just think they've not been at Wembley, have they, for 30 odd years or something like that. Never been to a play final. I just hope all this, as the days comes, kind of gets to them. And you know what? If you'd have asked me like last night at half time, I'd be like, wow, we've seen 3 hours of football here from Forest. They're thinking they put that kind of wobbly end to the season behind them. They look on point. If you'd have compared both teams and stuff, who's Huddersfield and them, you think, God, Forest will smash the final. But they showed in the second half, Sheffield United, and not playing really great football, pretty average stuff, getting in very easily. I just thought, wow, they're beatable. And the messages I would get from everyone, it were like, so we shouldn't be fearing them. All right, we finished above them at the end of the day. We've beaten them already at the City Ground. Yeah, the cup game, we had a few missing and what have you, but they're going to be loving it, bigging it up. You're hardly going to get an airspace on any of the TV and that as well. But it's just the way I like it, because I think we were nervous with this underdog. We want the underdog tag in this game. And I think we suffered a little bit
Yeah,
for
I
it.
thought that, yeah.
But we will be mad, even though they'll say, well, you finished above us. But no, and I love it. And
everyone. There was a poll, wasn't there, straight after I think yesterday, and I can't remember who did. TalkSport did the poll, and 90% said Nottingham Forest. Who do you think will get promoted? And 90% said Nottingham Forest.
Brilliant.
And that's what you want.
Bring it on. I wish it were 100.
And there's the media. There's absolute helmets in the media. I'm going to go on a media ban because I just can't be bothered with rubbish that comes out. But Gary Neville's come out with some absolute bollocks already. Gary Neville's the bloke who said when Leeds United got promoted that thankfully Yorkshire have got a Premier League football team for the first time since they got relegated. Obviously doesn't know where Huddersfield and Hull are. But yeah, he's had a thing today and he said the north of England doesn't get much investment, so all we need is a strong Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Leeds, Sheffield Wednesday and Nottingham Forest. And and Nottingham Forest isn't even in the north, which is great. So this is a guy who this is a guy who constantly spouts socialist and Labour views online, and then he's come out with something which some elitism which could have been born out of Eton. So the guy's a complete hypocrite, and but I'm going to try and ignore it because it's just going to all be about Forest, isn't it? And I can understand why. 23 years away, and they've a lot of people still remember the Brian Clough years. It's memorable, it's exciting. And
if we were Wickham podcast, mate, we'd be saying the same for this Saturday. All I'm hearing is Sunderland, this, that, the other. They deserve to get back.
Yeah.
They're bringing 800,000. They're having 80 fans on Wickham coming in a taxi. Don't matter, mate. He'll get them fired up with Ainsworth, and they might beat them. 90 minutes on the pitch, and I'm drinking it in, mate. I'm glad in a way it's not. Like, Reading, although we were probably favourites going into that, and I think we had more fans than them. Could be, forgive me if I'm wrong, but
a few hundred more, I think, yeah.
Yeah, we did. But this is different, and I'm going to revel in it, mate. Any kind of media duties I'll do and that as well. I'll be, Forest. It's big set of fans. I'm just going to play to their hands, mate. Bring it on. The mind games have started. Come on, Town.
Yeah, both teams are on 36,500. So hopefully Huddersfield we sell our allocation, and then it'll be quite even.
You think we will? I can't see it.
No, I don't think we will. I think we sold 38,000 last time against Reading, but I think a lot of that might have been because I think people felt it was a once in a lifetime deal, if you like. So I don't think those same people will go. And I know people who went to the Reading one that aren't going this time. I know like several, but hopefully we can get as close if not possible, and then we can. Make some noise, and hopefully that also ramps up the pressure on Nottingham Forest because everyone will be looking at them. So it definitely, I think the game will depend on how they handle that. So it's going to be an exciting and nervous occasion, but the pressure's not on us. So maybe we can just go about and do our thing and shithouse a set piece. Who knows? So that's the hope. But we've played Nottingham Forest 3 times this season, mate. And to be fair, Nottingham Forest have been the better side on all 3 occasions. But we did manage to sneak a win, didn't we, down at the City Ground? But it's all to play for. It could go either way. There's a number of different scenarios that could play out for the game, and there are definitely scenarios where we can win the game. So it's definitely all to play for on the day.
What about
can you imagine the reaction if we get a 75th minute corner and Tom Lee's not sitting off the back of his head and that's what wins it? Like just imagine. I don't think I'll come off Twitter for like 48 hours if that happens.
Johnny, it won't be easy. My last parting shot before I headed to the commentary gantry, where Sky says, "I think we'll win," but back in my mind, this is Huddersfield Town. We don't do it easy, and there'll be a lot of suffering, as we go along. And it exactly panned out like that. And Carlos is incredible, and what a job he's done. It's clear to me that both we're looking at this game as 180 minutes, kind of tie, and the subs he played. I know we'll have to take his word for it that Turton did get injured at Luton and Pippa, but I think probably he were meant to play Pippa second leg, Turton first and stuff. Thomas coming off to now, it'd be so easy, wouldn't it, to bring him on and in that second game and stuff. But he's so bold, so brave, and he just knows what he's doing. And Tino or another. Honestly, I just love the guy so much. The way kind of he's turned things round, and a lot of stuff. His management and his team play. It's about patience, and the fans just got to believe in him. It just frustrated me a little bit on Monday that. Come on, no, this is how we play. It's almost like we had 5,000 new fans in the ground, which probably we did, to be fair. We've never seen us this season. Come on, get on with it. But they were passing it back, probing, looking for a gap. That's how we play. And, he's just, the guy just deserves, even if we lose Matt on Sunday week, he's done a sensational job. And in my opinion, I was chatting this with Gailey tonight when we were at some football, and I think this is a better team than the 2016-17. But we've got one more game to get over the line, and that's the big one.
No, I don't, to be honest. But I think whatever happens, I think whoever's running the club at the time will need to sit down with Carlos and say, look, this is a fantastic job, and reward him with yet another new contract. Because that's what we did with David Wagner. Every time, every time he did a good job, Dean, was there and sort of kept upping his wage to keep him. I think Carlos and Lee Bromby, etc., need looking after, and I think they need, the club really need to value them and, and say, look, if we have or we haven't gone up, we want you to guide us for the foreseeable future and, and pay them accordingly. And I think sort of, we really need to look after the people that have got us in this position, because if we do go up, fantastic. If we don't, then, let's try and build on it. Let's not just, slink back to 18th and not value the people that have done the job. So, that's
Matt,
pretty big for me.
I think this team has beat the 26-17 one. I do. But it don't matter.
I don't.
I do.
You'll never know, will you? That's the thing, I guess. You'll never know.
No.
Do you know what? Hefferley was a brilliant player. I don't understand why people don't. I think people look at Heff like he was some kind of sort of village idiot sometimes. But honestly, but playing out from the back, Michael Hefferley is one of the best centre backs I've seen at Huddersfield. He was sensational with his feet. Honestly, I thought he was great. Heff. Schindler was great. Tom Lees is top class as well. Yeah, Colwell's decent. But, Aaron Moy's the difference maker, isn't he, in between the two teams? Aaron Moy's
you played your trump card there, mate.
I know. Aaron Moy, Naki or Danny Ward, probably not that much difference. Van La Parra, you take Sorba. You take Sorba. You take. He was in the thick of it, wasn't he? But you take,
Dennis.
Tariq. I will say that I think this team has got a better bench, to bring on, and a better, more game changers, as you'd say, Cozzy, more people that can bring on, and more options and flexibility. You bringing Tino off the bench, Carol Eiting, and there's some really good players you can bring off the bench to change a game and change systems, which I think Carlos has definitely got over what we had 5 years ago. But it's time for new heroes, as the Cowshed Loyal banner said, isn't it? So let's hopefully we can get someone, and who knows, maybe we could rename the podcast after somebody after the 29th of May. Who knows?
Matt, a party piece. Listen to my way I finished with commentary. Says the banner said before the game, time for new heroes. But it was an old one who came up trumps. Huddersfield Town 1, Lower Town 0. Put my mic down. Job done.
It's dropped.
Mic drop. Absolutely. Right, guys.
That one, by the way, on the quiet. That was brilliant, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
Honestly, it gives me goosebumps seeing it. When you're kind of at the side, you can see it all. I'm normally behind it, but it's like the effort. I think Paul was saying it costs £150 to kind of get all that, but it's not just the money; it's the effort, the time.
It's time, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, telling people what
it is brilliant.
It gives you goosebumps, man, doesn't it, when you see that?
I love that. Yeah, I love it, mate. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Credit to them all. Dom, Poz, Dan, and all. Not Ollie Fisher anymore because he's slunk off down south. But credit to all the guys that got involved with that, because it's really good, and I think it makes a difference as well, doesn't it? It gets people going, it gets the players going, and it's all part of the togetherness, isn't it? It's really
just a weird one as well. So we've gone after that Stoke thing. We've gone games where massive gaps between home and away fans. Bloody hell! I got a text last night from a guy. I didn't really get it. It didn't sink in, but it says, "Bloody hell! If there's going to be trouble if someone scores there, because there were no divide whether between home and away
fans."
It's
just the rail, wasn't it? Just that one rail.
Nothing, mate. It was just like mad.
Stewards and a few stewards, but there seem to not be that many stewards and police. Especially when. I'll tell you one good story from the celebrations, and I thought this was brilliant. Did you see Romani Edmonds-Green at half-time come on and speak to Rambo? So Romani Edmonds-Green came on. If Johnny did, he came on and he looked like he was dressed for an evening of Netflix on his couch, with some jogging bottoms on and a hoodie. Yeah, and it looked like he was just dressed like someone from down the road, and then he came on, did his bit at half-time, and then went off. And then when we won and everyone ran on the pitch, the coach, the bench all ran on the pitch at the start. And Romani Edmonds-Green ran on with them as well, and he was jumping up around. And then all of a sudden, all the fans ran onto the pitch as well. And the stewards formed a barrier to protect the bench area in front of them. And Romani Edmonds-Green shit himself, turned round and tried to get back. And the stewards wouldn't actually let him back to the bench area because they thought it was some scrote from down the road. It was absolutely amazing. And he was struggling to get past the stewards because he was dressed like, ready for a night on the couch. And I think he eventually got back down. But for a couple of minutes, there were fans running around him and he was absolutely panicking trying to get past the stewards. And it was really funny to watch that. And
he ain't got a bad season, has he? 2 promotions. I know he hasn't played for us, but bloody hell.
Wembley, Rotherham won at Wembley. So hopefully that's a sign. He's got a promotion and Rotherham won at Wembley in the Papa John's Trophy. So, hopefully that's a sign if you're superstitious like I am sometimes and cling on to it and touching wood now and all that stuff. And where's my lucky rabbit's foot and all that. But yeah, so I think it's probably a good place to end it, isn't it, Cos?
Yeah, just kind of reflecting on the end, really. Just special night for the stadium. I think we've been so lucky. I was saying to someone in the car, some young'uns today in the car where we were going to that football away game. It's like, you guys don't know you're born the last 10, 15 years. I remember in the 80s having to put up with absolute garbage, like season after season, bottom half, mid-table, Leeds Road. Honestly, if we're not going up, we're going down. He's never boring. I think we were craving for the mid-table seasons for a bit of calm, weren't we? This season?
We were down for 12th, weren't we?
I know.
When was that? When was our last mid-table finish? I can't remember. It must have been pre Dean Oil, wasn't it? Whatever that season was.
But you've got teams like Bradford who haven't done it for about 50 years. It's like, honestly, we're so lucky every year. We get to be involved with something. It's just incredible. We support such a special football club, and you know what makes me so proud is like last 3 years we've been on his ass and suffering, and especially in the COVID, it was even more difficult. You couldn't even shout or what have you. But Huddersfield Town are back out there. They're throwing punches. We're punching above his weight again. We're boiling piss. People don't like it.
I'm having it. This is the second time now. This is our way. I'm having it. I'm bigging us up. This is our way. We're in our weight class, and hopefully we're the champions of it.
What a town we've got. It's going to be a long 11 days, isn't it? But let's hope it is for Ward. He can get fit, and hopefully everyone else gets a bit stronger. We can have a full bill of health. Never know. Matty Pearson, baby, maybe not. Maybe.
Who knows? Unlikely, but who knows? Immortality possibly awaits, and who knows? Like I said earlier, maybe you'll get a podcast named after you if you're really unlucky. But players that have made it this far, everybody from Huddersfield is 100% behind you, and I dare say Brady will have a couple of warm-up shows planned pre-Wembley, so make sure you show. yeah.
Couldn't believe Jurgen on pitch night before Southampton, Liverpool.
Do you see Brady giving it like this as well to the Town fans? But yeah, so. Stick with us. Sorry for the streaming tonight. I'm going to put a strongly worded letter into Wirecast right now, and it'll be extremely strongly worded. So this will be uploaded shortly. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Cosimodo. Thanks, Johnny. And let us sing a little bit of Christopher Carter.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. And the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.